Yes, I don't think she can. All right, and we are live. Welcome back to a new episode of Films and Fandoms. I'm joined with me, Alex.
This is another fun episode.
It's going to be a fun one. I got my whiskey and Coke.
And I'm drinking orange soda.
Thanks, Mom. My mother's in my bedroom because she apparently didn't want to risk making a comment.
So she put herself in timeout.
She did in my bedroom. She kicked my cat out of the bedroom.
That's
So
funny.
yeah, your Freddy's is not happy. But yeah, so on this episode of Films and Fandoms, so the reason why my mother's even here to begin with is because I have like 3 separate appointments tomorrow dealing with medical stuff. So that's why she's here. She's going to take me to my appointments tomorrow. And then we went shopping today and went to dinner, so it was fun. But yeah, so let's get on with this episode. We are going to be talking Leverage, Season 3, Episode 7, The Gone Fishin Job.
Sorry, whenever we get to episode 7 of any season, I laugh.
Yeah, I mean, this is a pretty big Eliot episode. And we know what Kane's lucky number is.
Yep.
Number 7. Just rule number 7 says don't touch the
Don't. No.
All right, I'm all right. Before we get into this episode, I want to thank our parent company, Navco.org. And if you'd like to support the podcast, you can buy a coffee on Ko-Fi. That sounded like Sophie. So you can purchase a coffee, support the podcast. All proceeds go directly to me and Alex. Greatly appreciate all the support you can give. So yeah, let's just get started with the main thing. So, as I mentioned, today's episode we're going to be talking about is the Gone Fishin Job. Bit of a summary before we get into this episode. The Leverage team's latest job will take them back to the country, where they go to take down a tax collector taking advantage of innocent people. Things take a turn when Hardison and Eliot get taken out to escape the clutches of a group of domestic terrorists. So yeah. So this one, they're going country. Oh damn it! I was hoping Per was watching so he'd understand that reference I just made. But the director for this episode, I think, is maybe a newcomer.
Yes.
Let me double check that before I start running my mouth. And I see you saw my tweet.
Yes, and I did a thing. Don't be mad at me.
I saw you tag him, but I didn't.
Yep.
Let's see. Let's see what 5 episodes. So John Harrison. So hi Perry. I don't know. Did you catch my Gone Country reference? Like we just gone country. There she goes. So it's good. Today's gonna be full of country music references.
Oh, good lord.
Yeah. So this is actually the first episode of Leverage that John Harrison has directed. You'll find this interesting, Lex. In season 4, John Harrison would go on to direct The Hot Potato Job and The Grave Danger Job.
Cool.
And in season 5, he's going to direct The Real Fake Car Job and The Broken Wing Job. So actually, a little bit of Parker heavy episodes he's directed. So we'll see. We'll see his name pop up again. Is what I was trying to get at. And the writer for this episode is Rebecca Kirsch. And if you don't know where you've heard the name Kirsch before, if you remember the season 2 finale, the shell company that Mayor Brad Culpepper III used to funnel money through for the gun runner was called Kirsch Industries. So that's where you heard the name Kirsch before. Continuing the trend of using writers' names for like company names.
Yep.
Melissa Glenn, Jessica Reeder being the Safe Company, and Kit Boyle, and Kim
Yep.
being writers on the show as well.
And or having like cast members be like news anchor people, Dean Devlin, or radio people.
John Rogers.
Yep. Or
That's
my favorite one, there's one later on, I think. Jonathan Frakes is one of the patients in the waiting room.
No, it was in Stork Job. No,
Yeah,
Snow Job.
no. Yeah.
It was in Snow Job. He was in the waiting room.
I love that. That made me laugh so hard. I couldn't
And
breathe.
he's also going to be in the Toy Job in season 5.
Yeah, just like the side look of like, don't break character, don't laugh, don't laugh, don't laugh, whatever you don't laugh.
Yeah, so Jonathan Frakes, aka Mr. Two Takes Frakes.
I love that man so much. He's awesome.
Yes,
He's
so
freaking funny too.
yeah.
In this episode, there are moments where I'm like, why? Oh,
Yes.
that's why.
Yeah. Especially this is a funny episode. Well, so let's get back to the actual episode. So we open this episode with a fairly typical domestic scene. You know, you have daughter, she's working on some science homework. And you know, mom's helping her with some science homework. It's probably late at night, probably just finished up dinner. And she gets a knock on the door. So mom goes to answer the door. And we see a man in a trench coat, which first red flag, by the way. Don't be
That's always
trusting.
a bad idea. Don't trust people in trench coats.
I'm sorry, Castiel, but you're included in that list.
True. Sorry, not sorry.
Sorry, Misha Collins. But I'm mainly talking about Castiel. But anyways, so this guy is saying he's from the IRS and that he's there to collect on her delinquent taxes. And she's all confused because, like, you know, she's on a payment plan and, you know, she's been paying them. Coda, don't be playing with your grandma's purse. Jesus Christ. Sorry. Anyways. So, yes, but basically he's saying she needs to pay up on her taxes now. And he threatens eviction in front of her daughter. So of course, you know, the daughter's freaked out, but she's like, you know, go to your room. And now she's freaking out, like, you know, like I can't, like I'm on payment plan, like I'm trying to pay this off. And he says to hand over a credit card and it would all go away. So she hands over a credit card and he leaves. Which, by the way, little piece of advice for people watching: anybody who shows up claiming to be like some officer, agent, what have you,
Always ask for ID.
demand to see ID.
That's your right. And you can always tell them no, come back with a warrant or come back with other proof.
But always demand ID at the bare minimum.
Yep. And then if you can, call their office to verify.
Well, yeah, you can actually do that because, fun fact, I
But we're
actually
not a fakes.
yes, but so I thought I was a victim of a fake because one day I was at work. This is a few months back. I received a call from someone, yada yada Smith, f- Special Agent Smith from Pittsburgh field office. And of course, I'm thinking, I'm scam. But then the more I was thinking about it, I was like, well, if someone's scamming, I better tell him because my guilty conscience wouldn't let me just like ignore it. So I ended up contacting the Pittsburgh field office, gave them the name, and they were able to verify, like, yes, this person does work for the FBI. Let me transfer you over to him. And lo and behold, actually spoke to Agent Smith, and I was not in trouble. Just FYI, I was not the one in trouble. They just needed some info from me. Not heard back, so
That's a
pretty
good
sure
thing.
I can't delve in it.
No news
Pretty
is
sure,
good news.
yeah,
But
that's
that
the
I
approach.
also I've
Well,
experienced
you
that.
can call and verify, and 99% of the time, they're just gonna laugh off if you tell them, like, "Oh, like, I thought I was getting scared," like, "Oh, like, that's okay. Like, we've heard that before." They don't get offended.
Yeah. I've done that with when I was on disability for a while. I got a call that was, to me, seemed fake. So I looked up my local field office in one of the bigger towns that I live near, that has the main field office
Mhm.
for the Social Security office, and I called them, and they go, "Oh
Yeah.
no, we don't have anybody by that name." And I go,
Mhm.
"Okay, so here's the name that they used." And they said that they were through your office. Could you double check for me and make sure, absolutely sure? Yep, it was fake. So
Mhm.
I went and I blocked that number.
Yeah, that's a good
But
idea.
they looked into it, and they actually, I think they
Exactly.
found the guy that was trying to
In
steal
my case,
benefits from people.
yeah. Well, in my case, it
Awful.
was a real FBI person, and I'm not gonna delve into why they called me, just I was not the one in trouble.
Man, that's actually kind of cool that the FBI called you.
Yeah, I know,
I don't
but
know
then I
why,
was
but
like,
that's cool.
all the freaking things. But no, I was not in
um,
trouble,
but
and
yeah,
everything
and
was
I mean, same thing goes for like police department and stuff. You could always
yeah,
call your non-emergency line for your local police department and actually see if this is if it's an actual officer or not. Most of
yep,
the time,
but
it's not. I've had that happen, and I've called the non-emergency line, and it was somebody trying to get my information.
yeah,
They caught the
but
guy though.
yeah, okay, good. But especially in today's climate, if someone claiming to be a federal officer shows up, demand to see ID and a badge.
Yep.
Okay, demand to see ID.
And then get their
Verify.
card from them and call their supervisor or call your local field office to verify.
Yep, always demand to see ID.
And if
That's
you
the one.
can, do it in front of them. Do it in front of them.
And record and record
Of course, you have that
and
right.
protect
If you're on
yourselves.
if you're on your own property, you have the right to turn them away and or film if needed.
But yeah,
That's
protect
pretty
yourselves
cool
out
that that you have that to use to your own advantage, but it's sad that they can abuse the system. People can abuse the system and pretend to be something that they're not.
there. Yeah.
It's sad.
So, yeah. So moving on for a bit. So this lady hands over a card. He leaves, and then we see her meeting with Nate, and of course he's drinking. And she's saying, like her card had been maxed out, but she contacted the IRS, and no one had confirmed that they got the money.
Yeah.
And it explains that someone's been doing this like all over Boston and targeting like taxpayers who owe back taxes.
Again, that is why you contact whatever federal
This is
agency
why
is
you
trying to,
contact your
whoever
local
they're claiming to
uh,
be.
agency. Yeah.
contact that local office in your state and find out if they're legitimate or not before you go any further.
Yep. That's why you always get name and badge numbers, people. Names and
Yep.
badge numbers.
Yep. And if
Check
you can't record your interaction as proof.
Or bare minimum, take a picture of the face.
Exactly. There are ways that you can protect yourself, which I think it's really cool, but it's sad that we need this.
Yes. But moving on. So this woman says, no, it's not about the money, but he scared her in front of her daughter. And now she assures her that, they're gonna, get her money back, and he's gonna help her. And she says that, I played by the rules. Like, I paid, even when I got laid off, I paid my debt off, a little bit at a time. And I was able to keep food on the table. And it's just like, what do I tell my daughter? And Nate says, you tell her the same thing you tell her every night, to never give up. Which actually, speaking of my mom being here, that hit me is, I was raised by a single mother. And that would be something she'd always tell me, oh, everything's going to be okay. It's all going to work out.
Yeah, or with me and my parents, they always tell me hey, look towards your end goal. Don't focus on where you're at.
Yeah.
Don't focus on the middle of the race. Focus on the end where you want to get you. And yeah, that is hard for me to do sometimes, but I have coping skills that I use to help me get to that point. And it's nice to have that voice of reason every now and again. As much as I hate it half the time.
Yeah.
But I mean, in cases like this, sometimes you need that little bit of advice, which I'm sure their client would wish that they had more of.
Yeah, and I don't exactly know if this client is a single parent, but I mean, because they don't mention it, but I'm gonna guess.
That's my vibe I got almost immediately.
This is a single parent.
Yeah.
Yeah, so moving on a bit. So we then cut inside Nate's apartment, where Eliot's holding an ice pack to his shoulder, immediately starts bitching that they have another job, even though they just came back from a 10-day job in Juarez. Voice probably a little bit sore.
And in my head, I'm thinking, boy, what did you do?
Well, he probably just was from fighting.
But no,
strained the old shoulder.
No, when I first watched this, honestly, I thought that Christian Kane had done something to himself, so they wrote it in.
You know what? That tracks.
I mean, like the instance with the cowboy boots and him hurting himself.
Work job.
Yeah.
To explain a cut on his face.
Yep.
Which is how we get the famous line, "How's that supposed to know it was a lesbian bar?"
Yep. And with the audio commentary, fucking Oklahoma.
Fucking Oklahoma, yeah.
And I pulled an Oklahoma.
What? When?
Remember Easter egg hunt?
Oh, the Easter egg.
Yeah.
And
I was wearing cowboy boots, funnily enough.
But
yes, it was kind of funny to see him all grumpy, and I'm like, you're cute when you're grumpy.
Elliot just wants a damn vacation.
That boy just needs to go on a vacation to some freaking little beach out in the middle of nowhere for a week.
He needs to pull an Alex Walker, is what he
needs.
Though, to be fair, Eliot, that would probably drive Eliot fucking insane, just like Alex Walker.
True. But okay, in my head, I've already created a little thing. He's on vacation with his cousin Alex, and then they had to call Jake to come bail them out of jail. because they started a bark fight.
Just call Ernesto?
Nope.
Oh no,
They tried.
No,
They tried. Ernesto's like, nope, let him rot in jail. I mean, am I wrong? That would happen.
Oh yeah,
That would totally happen.
yeah. But so moving on. Parker's got this piano and she's like getting candy out of it, and it's like that gives her time, and Hardison run it. So Hardison
I love
says
how aggressive. I love how aggressively like she's shaking the fucking pinata. She's like, give me my candy.
Candy out. Yeah, so Hardison says the first rule of crime is follow the money, which is true. So their clients might have ran through like 3 different shell companies before and ended up with Hugh Whitman, who was played by legendary voice actor Clancy Brown. And if you don't know who Clancy Brown is, you will definitely know him as Mr. Krabs from SpongeBob SquarePants. I checked IMDb. Look on
my god! Seriously,
Mr. Krabs.
Freaking hilarious.
He's Mr. Krabs. Searcher and Thor Ragnarok. He also appeared in Homefront, the movie with Jason Statham. The movie Cowboys and Aliens. And he's also Dr. Neo Cortex in the Crash Bandicoot series. And he's Hades in the video game God of War 3. So if you probably grew up playing video games or watching cartoons of some kind, you've probably heard Clancy Brown's voice.
That's just freaking funny. I totally forgot that he voiced Mr. Krabs. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
That's awesome, bro.
Something I realized today. Leverage has some iconic guest stars.
Do you remember there was this show that only had like 1 season, came out in 2019, Emergence. He played in that. It's called Emergence. It was on the CW. It wasn't. It only went for like 1 season. And he was a character in that. I knew his name sounded familiar and his face looked familiar. It was from that TV show.
Yeah. I mean, you think about it, this is like Leverage has some iconic guest stars.
Yeah.
You got Sal Rubinek. You got
John Schneider.
You'll get Matthew Lillard in season 5.
Yes.
You have Brett Spiner. You have Jerry Ryan. You have
Riley Smith.
You do get Riley Smith.
It counts. It counts, even though it's a flashback.
He is a guest star.
And Clayton Crawford in one of my favorite episodes.
You also have one of the Sabrina and the Teenage Witch.
Yeah.
I forget what her name is.
And then there's like a whole smattering of others.
Yeah, Adam Baldwin, Giancarlo Esposito, Gioran, who we'll see play Damien Moreau.
And then we get Aldous' brother in an episode too.
Yeah, so like Leverage is full of these like iconic,
full of like either family relations, and then I think even in like there was like 2 or 3 episodes we get Dean Devlin's wife in an episode.
Yeah.
Dean
and
Devlin's his daughter. It was in an episode in the background
where you get there's an episode of Leverage where you get or Leverage Redemption where we get to see Miss Hannah Devlin.
She's so talented. I love her.
And I got to shake her hand because Dean Devlin introduced us.
Oh, that's so cute. Was
at
that before or after my video?
it was before. It was before because he like came around the corner. This is at the librarians at the next chapter screen. He like came around the corner. I logged out. It was like, "Hi, hi, it's so good to see you." And like we hugged. It's like, oh my god, like I can't believe you remember me. Like I'm freaking out. Like his daughter was Hannah, and he's like, "Oh, like have you met my daughter Hannah?" So like I shook her hand. I was
And
freaking.
then how did it come about of like getting the video? I want to know.
So basically, like this is after a couple drinks.
Of course.
That's the only reason I had the nerve to do it. It's had a couple drinks, but I was just like, I felt bad that you weren't able to come out. So I was like, I bet if I should like make like a video with some, she'd really actually really appreciate that. So I just like wanted to, was like, hey, like I was wondering if you could do a favor for me. My friend Alex, she's a big fan, but she, wasn't able to. She lived there. She wasn't able to come. Would you be okay if I like made a video to send to her? It's like, oh yeah. So that's how the video came about. Is I literally just went up and asked.
And can I just say that he had the dad voice with me? He's like, "Why aren't you here? I want you
So
here." And I cried. I literally
and
cried
I just
when I
like,
first.
it looks like
Yeah, I live too fucking far away. And that's why. And I hate flying. But and then I didn't tell you this, but until like I think a month later after it happened, I DM'd him and I said, "Oh, thank you very much for that video that you did with Kaylee. I was not expecting that. Best night of my life." And then he immediately commented like 2 days later saying, "You're welcome, Alex." And I cried. And so yeah, I DM'd him on TikTok because
awesome.
why the fuck not?
Yeah. Oh yeah. And then the night ended up with me being pen pals with Dean Devlin on TikTok, and we still chat, by the way.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But yeah, let's move on. So basically, Whitman owns this debt collection agency outside Boston. Eliot says that that kind of checks because he's got bill collectors on the payroll, and he just sends them to people who owe back taxes and keeps the money. Sophie, however, points out that those names are public, and Nate says, "Oh, he just probably has a friend at the IRS tip him off." So Parker gets all excited. She like pulls out this like one piece of candy she must have been looking for. And she's like, "Oh, let's just steal the list." So Nate says they got to find a way in. However, Hardison literally can't find like anything on the internet about Whitman. Like literally nothing.
Yeah,
Which
I
is
did a stupid.
What did you do?
I did something stupid.
What did you do?
Just now.
What did you do?
Dean Devlin a DM on I sent Dean Devlin a DM on TikTok for my birthday.
Screenshot
I was like,
it. Send
"Hey,
it
I
to
would
me.
really love a video." Oh god. If he responds, I'm probably
Send
gonna
me a
cry.
screenshot. Send me a
I
screenshot
will.
right the fuck now.
I will. Hold the fuck on.
Send me a screenshot.
My hands are shaking. My hands
Okay,
are
while
fucking
you're doing
shaking. Stop.
so, but Harrison finds it strange though that he literally can't find anything on Whitman online, given the
There.
high tech.
Oh god, my hands are shaking. If he does like send me a video or something on fucking TikTok,
That's awesome.
I'm going to fucking cry.
Yeah. So
Did I just do that? Yes, I did.
she did. Yeah. So, but Whitman has this technology that allows him to spoof caller IDs. So Nate again points out that the money went through 3 separate shell companies, and Harris reveals it's now in the boondocks at a town called, or at a bank called Turtle Creek under an account called Patriot Limited. which honestly should have been the first red flag about where this money is headed. But we'll get to that later. It doesn't have official ties to Whitman. When he says like work with that, and he wants a two-pronged attack where one group goes to the bank to spook Whitman. The Sophie's gonna hook Whitman with the new way to stash his money. And Eliot decides to volunteer himself and Hardison to go to the boondocks.
Of course.
And of course, Harrison's like, say what? Because Hardison is all city boy. And I know what I think every time I say the word boondocks, I just think of the Little Big Town song. But I feel no shame, I'm proud of where I can. For I was born and raised in the boondocks. One thing I know, no matter where I go, I keep my heart and soul in the boondocks. Yeah. Yeah.
Great. Now that song's in my head very much so right now. I hate you.
Yeah, so those like questions. Parker then starts shaking the pinata, trying to get more of the candy out. Eliot has had enough, so he grabs the pinata, rips its head off. The person, like she's full on whimpering. She's like, "It's okay, we can fix it." Oh, Parker. Yeah, Eliot just needs a damn vacation. So we see Hardison and Eliot pull up to the bank, and immediately Hardison or Eliot's like, I don't know why, you're complaining. Like, I got us the bank, you know. Now we can see if we can go throw a worm in the water, because he just wants to go fishing with his boy. Okay, he just wants to go fishing. This is why unofficially I call this episode the Hardison Eliot date night episode. Because it's basically Eliot trying to take Hardison out on a date to go fishing. That goes completely wrong.
Of course.
Yeah, Hardison is just bitching because he does not want to be outdoors. He like swats see the sides of that thing like I've been at a beach. And Eliot just kind of like
okay. So I just had this pop into my head. I don't know why, but it's like Eliot's an indoor outdoor dog. Hardison is an indoor cat. That's why he's so mad. He's like, I want to go back home.
It's and then Harson's sniffing the air. And he's like, what's that smell? And Eliot's like, fresh air.
I don't like it.
I don't like it. Which I'd say the same thing when I'm on a drive with my mom. And we smell cow manure.
Hey, I love that smell. It's very country.
Yeah, it was like fresh air.
City slicker. That's what you are. I'm a country kid. I love that smell.
I like the smell.
And can you smell rain? No?
A little bit, I think.
I can totally smell it. Like, literally, I can smell it the moment before it happens. Bottle that up and make it into a candle.
Okay. So I was raised in urban white trash, okay? Give me a little credit.
I'm just messing with you because I can.
So Hardison and Eliot go in the bank, and they act like they're from the criminal investigation unit of the IRS, and they're investigating the Patriot Limited account. And so they go to sit down. Whitman gets a call when Sophie's about to meet or Sophie meets with Whitman in his office under the name Colette Madison, and Sophie kind of hooks him by knowing his connection with the bank or with the Patriot Limited bank account. And you can see like when Sophie and she does a power move by opening Whitman's door for him to his office. I feel like in this one, Sophie's playing more into the femme fatale than she usually does. Not because she has this like quiet strength about her when she plays like Colette Madison. And what's interesting is you can see, if you notice, when you walk in, you see Sophie scanning the room. There's like a grenade and like some like memorabilia around the office. But she walks in and starts looking around. And if you notice, Whitman does the same thing. He's watching Sophie. And Sophie explains that she's like a matchmaker who puts together two parties who can mutually benefit each other. But of course, Whitman's not convinced until his goon Owen comes in. He's the goon we saw at the beginning of the episode who threatened the client. He comes in saying that there are people from the IRS investigating the Patriot Limited bank account. So Whitman's now convinced. Except he decides to test Sophie a little bit by asking, it's like, oh, if you have a friend at the IRS, then you probably know Charlie Dean. And Nate's immediately like, oh, like he's testing you. I want you to tell Whitman that the last time you saw Charlie was at his funeral. And Parker just looks at him like, what? But lo and behold, Sophie does that. And then Whitman's like, all right, like you've convinced me. Like if my money's not safe, where is it safe? And Sophie tells Whitman she's going to introduce him to someone who runs an alternative financial institution. And there's a little then scene then afterwards where Parker's freaking out about Nate knowing that she's like, how did you know he was dead? And Nate's just like, Parker's like, do you know when I'm going to die? And then he just looks back. But yeah, so our boys, they're going back to the car, packing everything up. Elliot's so excited. They're going to go fishing. He's like, all right, we'll call, like, mobile and earbuds don't work out there. So they got to go call Nate from a landline at the bait shop. And of course, as they're packing up, a white man in camo walks up to them and is like, you felt your boys better come with me. Eliot, being the detective, being like, is just looking like, the fuck you talking about? Until more goons with guns come out and there's laser dots on Hardison's chest. So now this is turned into a, oh shit. So Hardison and Eliot, they're in the van being transported somewhere, and Eliot's like counting that like in his head. Whereas Harson's like, okay, like the lock's old. I bet if we like ram the door, we pop the lock and we can get out of here. And Eliot's like, shut up. And I was like, at least I'm making a plan. What are you doing? He's like, I'm making a map, Hardison. And then he goes back to counting. Meanwhile, Sophie takes Whitman to this like gym, saying it's his new bank, and we get a flashback to Parker clearing that out. It's basically like the spin cycle class. And of course, and Nate works to clear out the manager by saying like a neighbor and Jim's poaching his clients. And so Whitman's like all confused. And then we like see Nate as the owner. And basically Nate's using his gym to like launder money. And because most of the time people like they go like they pay for a gym membership but they don't actually show up. So that's how Nate's able to like launder the money is he just puts a name on the list to like pay like they're paying the gym membership but they don't need to actually show up because they're just gonna see like, oh, this is just like no one's gonna suspect anything. And so Whitman agrees to this, but he wants to look at the paperwork, so they give him the paperwork to look over. So back in the woods, the guy grabs the IRS jackets and is convinced Eliot and Hardison are IRS. So Eliot spots a bunch of molasses boxes. And spoiler alert, these guys are not using the molasses to make cookies. And Eliot's like smelling something else. Hardison gets hit in the stomach trying to explain, they're not IRS. And Eliot, however, recognizes this group as like an anti-government militia. And they're about to shoot them. And Hardison gets like hit in like the back of the knee, forcing him down. Eliot, now this is a little bit hot, I'm not gonna lie. Eliot like gets hit in the knee, but he doesn't go down. And just like in like his best growly voice is like, that ain't happening, Bubba.
And good lord, when a Southern man says Bubba or any form of fucking nickname like darling, sweetheart, ooh, it's like butter on a hot piece of toast.
Speaking of accents.
Oh, good lord.
No, did you see the promo Connor story did for SNL? I sent it to you.
Oh, that, yeah. Sir.
Okay. Look, Connor, Mr. Story.
Connor, baby, stop.
I know you're a Texas boy, so it's not.
It broke my brain. It broke my brain.
But you can't be doing Ilya Rozanov.
Freaking accent. Like, why?
Cowboy hat.
It broke my brain for a split second. I'm like,
you gotta kill people.
Yeah. And then he switches it off and is back to fucking Texas boy. And he's like, he's fucking Texas boy, and then he switches it back, and I'm like, no!
I don't know how he does it. Like 1 second he's caught, and then
lots and lots of practice, and that's what. And then like that's what it. That's what it is with a dialect coach. When Aldous does his accents that he does, working with a dialect coach to switch back and forth, pretty cool.
Yeah, I don't know if like Connor's just a polyglot or has like a natural ear for language or what. Because some people are just that. Some people are just that.
I think he's gonna. Well, he said in an interview that he likes learning like different languages. He can speak a little bit of Italian.
It's probably just he's probably just a polyglot and has a natural ear for languages.
Yeah. I want to know what the hardest one that he's learned is besides Russian.
I don't know.
That's gonna be in my brain now.
Yeah, okay, we need to move on or else I'm gonna be talking about Connor's story for the rest of this fucking episode. So moving on. So Hardison then bullshits his way into getting a cigarette, which allows Eliot to fight back, and they run like hell. But they're handcuffed to one another. And Eliot and Hardison immediately start bickering as they're running. It's like, about time you did something. No, it's like, I was planning on smoke cigarettes and die. This is just peak Eliot Hardison married behavior. Okay, this is just peak that this episode. So Parker, meanwhile, is at the call center. She's working to blend in and is calling someone about a balance with the Narcology Center. Then she just decides to like delete all the all the balances. And Nate tells her to go to Whitman's office. That's what she does. Hardison and Elliot, meanwhile, is still running through the woods. Elliot tells them to stop because he's got to get his bearings. Elliot tells Hardison that they need to go south and points to like back behind them a bit. And Hardison's like, no, says you even want compass. It's like, this compass, man. Like some of us are born with good direction, Hardison. And I was like, no, like we go downhill, like that's proven science. Because he's thinking, get more distance.
Yeah.
Well, thinking, more the survivalist. And of course, they do rock, paper, scissors, which Harrison should have known better because Elliot always wins in rock, paper, scissors because Harrison's got a tail. But they're off and running again. So back at the office, Parker's trying to find the secret room, and she does. But when she finds it, there's a ton. I think it's Revolutionary War memorabilia. And Parker, she prints out the list because there's like a computer in the secret room, so she prints out the list. And she finds a box with guns in it. Not good. So Nate fixed a phone call so we could leave the office. And Parker says that Whitman's buying guns and flags. Which, of course, sounds a little bit confusing, but Nate's like, oh, like, what do the flags look like? And Parker says, and like, the flags would be in half from the Massachusetts state flag, and the other part of the flags from the original colonial flag. So Nate says, all right, I'm going to try some. He goes back in and starts spouting off this BS about it's the local council wanting to install handicap ramps outside the gym, and soon they're going to want to put braille on the freeway. It's getting ridiculous. And Sophie kind of gives Nate a nod as he's asking about Whitman's car, and basically implies that like he's like leans a certain like he's like patriot type.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to say this in a way that
kind of
actually saying the thing I really want to say because I don't want to be causing any issues. Because that's what sometimes gets difficult about talking about leverages. I do try my best to keep politics out of.
It's like he's proud of his country, but it borderlines on too far.
Too far. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. Yeah. We'll go with that. We'll go with that.
Proud, but too proud. That's how I see it.
Yeah, we'll go.
We crossed the line.
we'll go with that. So,
but can I just say the fake military them in camo is kind of cool. That's for me. I was like, ooh, that's kind of cool. I was like, I want those camo pants. Where'd you get them?
I mean, it looks a little cartoony, which I mean, I
kind of love it. I mean, for a while there, I was obsessed with wearing camo pants. Just because they were comfortable and they had pockets.
That's true. So Whitman kind of revealed that Whitman's worse than they thought, because he starts spouting off how everyone's sheep and all it's kind of nasty things.
Yeah.
But the key thing here,
and it's more of you can see that it's more of that demeaning and degrading language that we haven't heard from a bad guy in a while like this to this extreme. But it's just sad that some people think like that. That's just how my mind is.
Yeah, but the key point here, though, is he mentions Sophie brings up, like, oh, like those FBI, like those IRS agents who got sniffing about. And
Yep.
Hart Whitman says, I took care of them. And of course, Sophie and Nate start getting worried.
Yep.
Then Whitman says, I have to go back to the office, but, come over, we'll sign, all the documents. So then he leaves, and then Nate starts realizing, like, Parker, when was the last time you spoke to the boys? And you could even see Parker start freaking out, like, oh shit, like, we haven't heard from the boys in a while. But she tries, like, be like, oh no, maybe they're just out of range. And then it's like, or they're in some serious trouble. So, yeah, because this is like, they're now like running on demon time because their boys are, in some serious trouble. So Nate and Sophie go to Whitman's building, and Sophie's, worried for her boys. And she's like, we should call the police. And it's like, I tell them what, that our friends impersonating FBI agents got kidnapped by like militia people. Like, no, like, Sophie, go close Whitman. I'll get with Parker and we'll go get the boys. Or like, we'll go find the boys. So meanwhile, in the woods, Elliot's getting like skunk weed because he's like, oh, we need to hide our scent. So grabs a bunch of skunk weed, rubs it on himself and Hardison. I like hide their scent a little bit. But then he also
make it not as strong to the dogs.
and
Which
he
it actually does work. You can use something that's sweet smelling, too, to kind of hide your scent.
Okay, but just trust me. Do not do that if you're trying to hide shit from like drug sniffing dogs. It don't work. Okay, don't try that.
Tracking dogs, on the other hand,
Slightly different.
Yep.
Not
which is what
behavior.
Which is what they are working. What they're trying to, who they're trying to hide from is the tracking dogs at this moment.
Yeah, they're trying to hide from tracking dogs. So yeah, so Hardison, but then Elliot's like, oh, he does like high five for morale. And then Hardison goes to like give him a high five. Elliot like cuts his hand and like rubs his hand on a tree. I was like, what the heck? Like gangrene. But then Elliot like wraps it up.
He basically goes, you'll be fine. And again, it's also to confuse the dogs of like, oh, there's the scent here, like, but where does it end? Like, it stops here. Like, where do they go? Here. Yeah, it's to confuse them.
Yeah. And of course, like Hardison, he's pictured so fucking hard.
I just wanted to slap him in the face. I just wanted to good slap him and tell him to shut up.
Well, to be fair, Hardison does bring up a valid point because it's like this guy did not want to go fishing, like he wanted to like shoot himself a black man. And I was like, oh, so it's like a black thing. I was like, damn, Skip, it's a black thing. Like you, which Hardison does bring up a good point. For like the laser dots were aimed at Hardison. Hardison was the one who got hit first.
Yep.
And yeah, so there is honestly that element, and that surprises me that Eliot like never considered that, because we find out later that he was adopted by a black man. So you think he would have been privy to those conversations that, at least by my understanding, happen like very often, amongst like black families about, staying safe. But part of me also wonders if like the explanation for why Elliot is like, because it just doesn't like register, because like he's heard it all before.
Yeah.
But we also get like, because Elliot's like, damn it, Hardison. Hardison's like, damn it, Eliot. Like Hardison's, he is not having a good time.
What I love is that he snaps back immediately, and they're like this close to each other's faces.
They are.
They get close, and they're like, "I want to know." I I do know this because I've watched the behind the scenes, the goofs. They busted out laughing. They get close, and Christian just
They always
winks
start
at him.
busting out laughing. Someone's got to stick a tongue out.
Yeah, no. During one of them, like they get close, and Alice just smirks, and Elliot just Christian just busts out laughing, has to turn away. He's like, "Stop it!"
Okay, but there's
And then
a
the second time that they did it, it's my favorite part. Christian just goes. They both bust out laughing. He does a kissy face.
let's move on. So
But
Elliot's
yeah,
like,
it takes a lot to get the final cut.
it does. Yeah, so Elliot then tells her, so like, like, I know what I'm doing. I've done this before. Except the last time we did it, the guy was dead. Which made it easier, I guess. But back in the building, Nate and Parker head to a side room. Parker has a map, but she doesn't understand it. Nate tells her the boys need them to still calm. I was showing what she found. However, they get a brief moment where they can't talk to Eliot and Hardison. And Elliot tells them they're 17 miles from the bank. And before they like cut out again, and Hardison tells them basically they got to go climb. So Parker sets up her phone to project the photo of the map on the screen, and on the computer compared the two to find the boys. Hardison comes on comms, tells them they're okay, but they can't really talk loud because like everyone's searching and the dogs. So Nate tells Hardison and Parker to go to the train tracks as he's going to go steal them a train. So Sophie's at women's office, and she's obviously very worried about her boys, and tells women that Nate's taking a conference call as to like explain why Nate's not there. Parker goes to the floor and says, let's go steal it. And a little giggle. Like she's so proud of herself. Like, let's go steal it.
I love that. I want to know how many times she had to do that
Yeah.
and have like a semi-straight face.
Yeah. So Nate has Parker spoof his call. Sure, to make it look like it's coming from Pittsburgh to the Massachusetts Department of Transportation to report that there's like rocks on the track so they could reroute a train. And Sophie also fixed the call while leaving the office, and Parker does the same. So this lady, switches the train tracks to reroute the train. Now Hardison and Elliot got a train. So Nate tells him that the trains come from Pennsylvania carrying beets. And Sophie goes back to the office and celebrates with Whitman. And then we see Hardison and Elliot go to jump the train. Of course, it's like, I hate beets. But they go to run to the train. A young goon points a gun at him. Okay, this scene's funny. Because the goon's like, put your hands up. And they just hold up the cuffs like, the fuck you want us to do? Now, I'm not 100% sure this bit was in the script. But Elliot tells Hardison to go down. This turns into a whole thing where they're getting flustered. Like Elliot's getting flustered because Hardison's implying, what go down is. Or they literally just like turn to like face the goon while they're bitching about
That's hilarious.
Huh.
You can just see the like red face, like, ugh.
That's not what I meant. Why do you always go like, that's not what I meant? Like rephrase it. Like 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 trying to twist. Like that's not what I. So anyways, they turn around, both knock the guy out, and they run to the train. However, just when they go to get on the train, Harrison stops Elliot and asks him, what he smelled. Elliot's like, no, like, like nothing. We got to get on the train. Harrison's like, no, Elliot, like, stop. Well, like, what did you smell? And Elliot says, he smelled fertilizer, and molasses. And both those things, he reveals that basically both those things can be used to make big ass bombs. Of course, Harrison's like, hey, like, is it stable? Harrison's obviously looking like a little terrified, but he's not, like, is the bomb stable? And Elliot says, no, they have to use it within 48 hours. Like, let's get on the train. We'll get to safety. We'll call the FBI, let them handle it. Harrison's like, yeah, we can call the FBI. Maybe they make it in time, maybe they don't. And then we're seeing on the news, like, some place got blown up. And they should stop them. And then the train just goes on by. But this whole time you can see Elliot is fighting with himself because his first instinct is get Hardison out of there. Like that's number one, get Hardison out of there. But Hardison's like, no, we're the only ones who can do this because like if we leave, the FBI might not be able to get there in time to shut this down before like people get hurt. And of course, his nature is contradicting what Hardison's suggesting. And Elliot knows Hardison's also correct. And I think this ties into this glimpse into the dark side of Elliot, where what Hardison really is suggesting is maybe like get a little blood on their hands. And that terrifies Elliot. Because the whole point in him doing what he does is so they don't have to make the hard choices. Because he's already got blood in his hands. That's never going to get wiped clean.
And
What's
you and you can also kind of see when Hardison brings that up, you can see like there's a little bit of panic in Elliot's eyes.
Like because not only now is he trying to protect Hardison from the goons, he's trying to protect Elliot from the dark. He's trying to protect Hardison from the darkness. Because we see like the darkness like haunts Elliot. And I think that's really what's scaring Elliot is how willing Hardison is to go into the darkness with Elliot. And yeah, so moving on. So the train leaves and Hardison says, let's go whip some hillbilly ass. Elliot warns him like we're gonna get bloody on this one. Hardison just nods. And they go back to the down goon to go gather some supplies and to break the handcuffs. And Office Parker accidentally gets busted and busts Sophie and Nate in the process. So now they gotta run. Parker stalls an elevator. Nate tells him they gotta leave and go to the bank because that's where Whitman's gonna go. And Nate checks in with the boys who are like cutting up branches and are like making, like are preparing for like war essentially. And it's like, hey, like, did you make it on the train? And I was like, yeah, about that. That didn't happen. And it's like you're not on the train. And it's like, no, like, think of a train, like you're gonna go toe to toe with these guys, that like without a plan. And I was like, oh, we got a plan. CWA. And and Elliot says, what's CWA mean?
Say it. I'm not gonna say it.
Can of whoop ass.
That's like the most country shit you could come up with.
Yeah. Though that reminds me, there's a line from Yellowstone where uh it's not much of a spoiler. I don't know if you finished Yellowstone, but it's
I'm watching the prequels first before I actually
okay.
watch
Well, it's
that.
not. This isn't really a spoiler. Uh, but basically, John Dunn, John Dunn, he's trying to get these like cattle to like a pasture, and he asks like his right hand man, like Rip, yeah, like Rip, did you figure out a way to do this without us getting trampled?
And he goes, "Fuck it." He goes, "What?"
And like the best we came up, sir, is just fuck it, you know, get them some bitches down the mountain. Fast. And he just looks like, that's your plan, fuck it. And Casey's like, well, it'll be a lot less time for things to go wrong. And he's just like, fuck it.
But I love how like he looks at Rip and Rip just has a smirk on his face. He's like, "Fuck it."
Fuck it.
I've seen that clip, and it does shit does go wrong in that episode. I watched a little bit of that episode, and shit does go wrong.
This reminds me of that because Nate is like, he just sighs and leaves. And you know his project is like, I gave these sons of bitches a train, and now they have the audacity. Like, we gotta go. So they, Hardison or Nate, Sophie, and Parker all leave. And of course, like oh, like yeah, like there's only like the front door they could go out, but they're like, now how they're gonna like escape in it because like they can't hack into anything. And it's like, I was thinking something a little more direct. Pulls the fire alarm. Which, I mean, it works because everyone starts evacuating. They slip out in the crowd. And what's interesting is there's a bit of a quiet moment between Eliot and Hardison. You know, Eliot's kind of tuning in a radio so we can listen to him. And Hardison's kind of sitting down, like hands on, like elbows on his knees, just like thinking. And Eliot looks at him and is like, you feeling confident? And Hardison's like, no. Like, I'm feeling quite the opposite, actually. And Eliot says, no, good. Because overconfidence will kill you faster than a bullet any day. And that fear is good. I said, well, I'm scared and doubtful. I will be fine. And then we get a montage of Eliot and Hardison fucking shit up. Because they start taking out goons, but then they get caught. We see Whitman has now arrived at the bank and is making a withdrawal. So at the camp, the lead goon doesn't answer. Hardison and Eliot get escorted back to the camp, and Hardison's like, where are you going to place the van, Chester? And the lead goon, or Chester, is like, there's casualties in every war. Eliot, I think this is one of the coldest lines from Eliot because Eliot says, see, that's the difference between a real soldier and this little Halloween outfit you got going on. Eliot gets punched in the stomach, but he doesn't go down. You'd kill to protect your rights. A real soldier, he died protecting somebody else's. But it's like the delivery that was cold.
Yep, but it's true. Those
Is.
militia guys, they kill to protect what they deem as their rights.
Yes.
At that point, it crosses a line between rights and a privilege. They have a privilege to do what they're doing. What the fuck?
Yeah.
I don't know what the fuck that was.
But privileges can get taken away too.
Yeah.
And then guns get pointed at him. And I was just like, wait, like I never did get that cigarette. And I was like, you know what? I think I saw your cigarette right over there. So somehow Hardison fastened a time release fuse where a match lit a cigarette, and that also was some like kindling. And that also, he had like a valve open of a propane tank, causing a big ass explosion. So Whitman's at the bank getting his car and he's driving to the camp. But the key thing here is Whitman sets his briefcase down while he's fumbling with his keys. So Eliot and Hardison get up at a half five, but they hear Whitman coming in. So they go hide. Whitman comes in and is like, what the fuck happened here? And he tells him, like, I gotta get out of town. Like, there's too much heat. Take the boys, go to a safe house. Nate then comes up behind him. Is like, next time I sell you a train, you better get on it. And Harris is like, hey, I made a bomb out of a menthol light. I'm not hearing it right now. Like, don't take that tone. I made a bomb out of a menthol light. Do not take that tone with me. So, anyways, Nate uses the radio with Eliot's stool to pretend that he's, leading like an ATF raid, I guess is what you'd call it. But the key thing here is he says that Whitman is a cooperating witness. Of course, like Chester is all like think Whitman betrayed him, and it's like no, like this is the money from the bank for like the organization. And when Whitman goes to open the briefcase, it's like documents basically revealing everything. Because we see that Parker swapped out the cases while Whitman was fumbling with his keys, because remember, he placed his suitcase down. So Parker swapped them. And apparently, Parker is now banned from driving. Which is like, who knew a sedan could hit 140? And Sophie like comes out of the car and she's like wobbling, but she's like, Parker, you are never allowed to drive again. So Whitman gets escorted to the bank, and of course they're all like what's happening, because there's no one there. The FBI reveals themselves. Everyone gets arrested. They have the gloat moment, and yeah, that's the end of that. So back at the bar, Nate hands their client a check, draws the names of everyone on the list, and asks for help tracking them down since she's been out of work. So basically, they're offering her a temporary job. So I imagine they're gonna like pay her for going out and like delivering the money to all these other people. And Sophie's decides she's driving because Parker's like, I'll drive. And Sophie's like, no, I'm driving. So inside the apartment, Hardison has like a fishing video game set up with fishing rods and controllers, or like fishing rod controllers. So they're like real. And Elliot's just sitting there. He's got like his hat on. He's got the beer with like the tackle box and like the thermos. And he's like,
And a little
this.
little fun fact about the hat that Elliot's wearing. That's actually a Christian Kane hat. He actually has like a couple of them.
Oh
That's
yes.
one of his actual hats that he wore, which he still does. It's fucking hilarious. I love it.
And is just so happy and playing like this
And
little.
he's just like just chilling. He's a happy boy. I love it.
And Elliot just like is grumbling. It's like, this ain't. There's no talking and fishing. It's the whole point.
Oh man, I don't know why, but that brought up a couple of memories from my childhood.
Fishing.
Yeah.
If
One,
I
I,
bring
one, I caught a branch when I went to Cath. It hooked in the branch, and then this was a few months ago. Like a month after that had happened, we went to one of our two lakes that we can go to, where you can go fish and all that, and go swim and everything. So we were at this one spot. Dad had the truck backed up to the little edge of the pond.
mm-hmm.
I wasn't catching nothing. I was catching nothing. Kept casting further and further out. Nothing. Little old country hick me was walking around barefoot.
Uh-oh.
You can see where this is fucking going.
Mm-hmm.
And so I walked about 5 yards away from the truck. That's on a fucking fish hook. Screamed my little head off, but I hobbled over to my dad. I'm like, hey, Dad, look what I did. And he goes, what the fuck? I go, yeah, I stepped on a fish hook. He got the pliers, got it out of my foot. It wasn't in too deep, thank God. Bandaged it. I put my shoes back on. I went back over there and I caught 2 bluegills back to back.
Nice.
But yeah, I stepped on a fish hook. And it was the 3-pronger.
Nice.
Where it's like that. And the 2 were like, yeah, it was, I can still feel the pain of that. Ugh.
Yeah, if I were to bring my mom there, she would. I only liked fishing if I was catching something. Yeah, but that's the end of the episode, actually. So I do have a little bit of extra notes. I think this episode does very well with the subtlety of the growth of the characters. Because before, Eliot would have just fixed the problem. Like, he would have just dealt with this militia people on his own without, like, worrying about anyone else.
Yeah, and it probably would have ended up with him hurt.
Also, Hardison's the one in this episode being like, hey, I want to get my hands dirty.
Yeah.
And Parker also, like, blading the dead guy, like, that's not something she would have done in season 1. And they prioritized the boys over finishing the job. So there's a lot of, like, subtlety. And I mentioned that. Also, what I think makes Clancy Brown, like, an interesting villain this episode is he feels more real. Because, like, he comes across as this, like, normal guy. But then, like, he said that, like, some, like, out-of-pocket stuff. And it's like, you sometimes kind of know people like that. And I think that's what makes it real, which I think makes it worse. Like, worse in a good character kind of way.
Yeah.
But and yeah. So Elliot, yeah, but the Elliot at the camp was really hot when he said, like, not gonna happen, Bubba. Because I was thinking of like in the season one, the first day of a job when he's fighting with Quinn, and Elliot has like blood dripping out of his mouth. And Quinn's like, "Why would you go down?" And Elliot just gets this like
he looks up and laughs.
his blood dripping out his face like a fucking animal. Be like, God, oh my damn.
But I will say that's one of my favorite fight scenes, like, of all time.
Okay.
And it's because of like the behind the scenes. I count when they're fighting, whenever Elliot's fighting from that point on, I count the steps that they're doing. I count it in my head. It's a lot of fun.
So okay. So I don't know if you're familiar. So did you saw that there's gonna be a new Heated Rivalry book, right? Called Unravel.
Mm-hmm.
So Shane and Ilya are now playing on the same team in that book. This is so,
yeah, because I follow the author.
Okay, so all I'm picturing is fucking Ilya fighting everybody. Like he's going for a world record in the timeout box because he's fighting everybody. And him getting into a fight because someone said some shit about his husband. And like, okay, you can't tell me Connor wouldn't kill this scene if they acted this out. Just Ilya on the ice, like blood dripping off his face from getting into a fight in Shane's name. And Shane looking like, oh, I just unlocked something I did not know existed about my husband. You can't tell me they wouldn't kill that, like a scene like that.
Yes, but I will say I love.
I have no idea if that's in the book or not. Fanfic writers, get on that. Get on that, fanfic writers. You will probably write it. Okay.
I mean, I've kind of written. I've written like a chapter or like a mock-up chapter for a little short story involving freaking Shane from Heated Rivalry, but it gets weird really quickly because my character flirts with him. And then later on flirts with Kip. And Kip just throws it right back at me, and I'm just standing there.
Okay.
At him like, what the fuck?
Okay. But you can't be doing that with Ilya because Ilya's a little.
To be fair,
husband.
To be fair, my character in this went and asked Ilya for permission first. I'm like, hey, are you cool if we just messing with him? He's like, yeah, go ahead, do it.
Okay.
I got approval.
When you put it in that context, Ilya would be okay with that, just to fuck.
And then same thing with Kip. I went to Scott and I'm like, hey, can I do this just to prank him? He goes, yeah, do it. Of course, I'm gonna be videoing it.
Then you'd have to work because she's basically his mom.
I know. I would just mess with them just because why not? And then I would just act like
no, but okay.
I'm a chaos gremlin. You know this about me.
Yeah. So Heated Rivalry, there are Heated Rivalry fanfic though, where basically because like Shane and Ilya are now playing on the same team, Ilya is just fucking shit up all the time and getting into fights for Shane. And I think this one of those like 5 times, like 5-in-1 fix, where it was like 5 times Ilya got into a fight for Shane, and then 1 time Shane got into a fight for Ilya. It was like one of those style, but like someone write a fanfic where like Eliot gets hit hard enough, or where Eliot gets like all bloodied because of a fight, and Shane unlocks something within himself, looking at his bloodied up husband. Yes, I'm saying husband because technically they do get married in the long game. I don't know. I'm not saying how. I don't know how they're gonna do that in this season 2. But I want that. And Justin Tierney, if you can please, if you do season 3, please make that happen because Connor will look hot doing that. Okay. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Those are my notes for this episode. Did you want to mention anything else about
I just love how we get kind of a different side of Hardison and Eliot at the same time. Eliot is in his element, out in the woods. He kind of
and Hardison
go back to like his military mindset of let's get the fuck out of here, and that kind of brought to mind because I have the book that I am reading, Delta Force, like kind of operations of like escape, evade, and try to like the tactical like evasion tactics of how to get out of a situation. And that kind of cements to me that Eliot was a Delta Force operator.
It could be.
That lines up with how he acts, and I like how Hardison is going off of Eliot's confidence to try to get the fuck out of the situation.
Yeah, but then
he kind of calms down a little bit, and then he starts to panic.
Yeah,
let panic set in.
And though he's like, well, towards like before they're about to get on the train, that's when he realizes like, okay, like it is up to us because if we leave, people are probably going to get hurt, and like I can't live with that in my conscience.
But yeah, they both go towards more like let's minimize the risk of people getting hurt.
And also he's thinking, he's scared himself. Like I'm scared right now, but I have Eliot, so I will be okay.
Yeah, and he's more analytical in his mindset because he's like a numbers guy. He's like, okay, the odds of me surviving this have gone up because I'm with somebody else. If I was by myself, I would
Eliot specifically.
Yeah, pretty cool.
And I trust Eliot to get me out of the situation.
I love that. I love how like he kind of calms himself down mentally.
Yeah,
I'm not alone. I'm with Eliot. Eliot's got my back.
Yeah, and he's playing the numbers, and the numbers are better with Eliot there.
Yeah, and Eliot realizes that too.
He's right. There's no guarantee that they're going to get there in time to like defuse the bomb and arrest everybody. So
yeah,
it's really up to Eliot and Hardison to stop this.
Yep.
And I think Hardison knew also that like they could get a little bloody on this one.
Yeah.
And
yes, that did scare him, but then he realized, hey, I've got somebody that has my back no matter what happens.
But it's also the fact that Hardison's willingly stepping into the darkness.
Yeah. He's stepping alongside Eliot to be a team player, and they kind of bounce off of each other a little bit with their energy, and they kind of level each other out, and I think that's what helps get them out of the messy situation that they were in.
Gets them out of the situation.
Yeah. But yeah, I like seeing Eliot's like tactical military mindset kind of come into play a little bit more.
Yeah.
And we see that off and on throughout the rest of the season, and then also in the other seasons. We see how he goes immediately into the tactical mode when it counts.
Yeah. So I mean,
like I said, it does back up the fact that I think he is a Delta Force operator, or was at some point.
Is there anything else you wanted to add, or?
Nope, and that wasn't even on my notes.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, I loved this episode. I loved how we
Yeah.
got to see our boys kind of like team up and kind of help each other out.
Yeah. Or as I like to call Hardison, the Hardison Eliot date night episode. Except it goes wrong.
I mean, when Hardison and Parker had their date night, it went wrong.
Yeah, that's true. And the date night job, yeah.
Yep, it does go wrong.
Because they got locked in a vault.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's all that's all my notes. Is there anything else you want to add before I wrap up?
Yeah, that's all I've got.
So I'd like to thank our parent company, NAFCO.org. If you want to support the podcast, you can find us you can buy us a coffee on Ko-Fi, Films and Fandoms. Link in the chat, and scan the QR code in the corner there. We are also on Discord if you want to follow us on Discord. We also have an Instagram, FN Fandoms with Kaylee and Lex. We're also on Twitter at FN Fandoms and on Facebook at Films and Fandoms. You can go on my website, Galen Central Acting. You can find me on Twitter at MissMovieFan_67 and on TikTok at MovieFan_67. And you can follow Alex on Instagram at Alex_ the Alley Cat. On Twitter at Alex the Alley Cat and on TikTok at Alex the Alley Cat. And you can go support our friends over at Mall Filmworks on Facebook. See what kind of fun stuff they got going on, including the wrestling
I love
promotion.
how you totally buffered.
What?
When you were saying like my handles, you kind of buffered.
Because I couldn't remember who I did. Like, I couldn't remember who it is. Like, wait a minute. Yeah, go support friends over at Mall Filmworks to see what they got going on because they recently announced they're doing a wrestling promotion.
Nice.
And who knows? You might see me getting in the ring. Only if I get signed off by my cardiologist. Because I already got yelled at about that. But yeah, so that's going to be something fun. Go on Mom Filmworks on Facebook to get more info about that and for more up to date information. Go away. But yeah, and so the next episode, which will be next week, we are going to be talking the boost job. So we're going to get a little more of a glimpse of Parker's past and delve into the world of car thieves. So a little bit Fast and Furious.
It'll be interesting.
It's going to be a fun episode. So I don't have anything else to say. You got anything?
Nope.
All right. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next